Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Jeremy Scott Fitness Podcast, a radio show coming to you on this Saturday, January the 30th, 2021. Hopefully it finds you staying safe and staying sweaty. On today's episode, we are going to break down fat loss and the stages of it. So no matter where you are on your fat loss journey, whether you got 100 pounds to lose or you're just trying to, drop a quick 10, we're going to walk through all of the stages for you in detail. So if you have a friend or family member or somebody who is not sure where to start or kind of what they should be doing in terms of where their goals are, this would be a great episode to share with them, just so it gives them a realistic idea of what they're looking at and doesn't set not only unreal expectations, but lets them know they're not, failing and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. Because I think oftentimes we're not sure where we are in terms of getting to our destination. So what chapter of the book should we be on? Are we going too fast? Are we going too slow? Are we being reckless? And so that's kind of the point of today's episode. But before I kick into that, this episode is going to be brought to you by my homies at JLab Pro. Again, this is probably our longest sponsor and affiliate for I think like a decade now. This is the company I work with and get my protein from, where we take our krill oil. It's the collagen complex my wife uses and then I use as well, but she's been going kind of bonkers with it lately. I think we have a 40% discount code on that currently if you guys want it. And then they just came out with the fermented turmeric product, which I'm a huge fan of. Actually, my wife has been using curcumin and turmeric for ever, honestly. Like before it was really trendy, been cooking with it, using it. So that's pretty badass too. They actually put ginger in theirs and like the black pepper extract, which makes the bioavailability increase like crazy. So that's on the site. So if you guys are ever interested, I think we have discounts on everything, always. And the site is jeremyscottfitness.jlabpro.com. And I'm always happy to share a link with you guys and kind of walk you through. But if you ever watch our smoothie videos, it's the protein I use. It's sweetened with stevia. It's easy on my stomach. That's why I take it. The other ones sometimes make me want to shit my pants, which I'm not really a fan of. So that is why I roll with these guys. But if you're interested, hit me up. Also, the podcast is brought to you by my homies at Athletic Greens. You already know. It's the one thing I take every single day. I never miss taking it. And if you were to buy only one supplement, this would be the thing that I would purchase. It literally is like your all-in-one. You're talking 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients. It's crazy. So unless you're eating like 10 to 12 servings of different fruits and vegetables a day, this is something you probably need in your life. I can't eat that many fruits and vegetables. I could honestly probably eat that many fruits, but I would weigh 300 pounds because I would eat like 10 bananas and 2 apples, and it's just not going to be good. And I don't know how well I would digest that, and especially the veggies. If I eat, a pound of Brussels sprouts, I'm never going to have sex with my wife again, and that just seems like a terrible way to live life. So the solution, I take Athletic Greens and I eat my fruits and veggies around there. So it literally just covers the gaps in your nutrition. And if you're really on the fence and you're not sure if you want to try it, because you've heard me say it's the best tasting greens out there, because it literally is, because most of the other ones taste like, shit, honestly. I'll have Monica send you a free pack right to your front door. So if you're listening, you're like, Jeremy, well, I think I want to try it, but I'm not sure I want to make the investment. Shoot us an email, fill out the contact form on the site, DM, whatever it is. Monica will literally grab you a pack, if you're watching on YouTube, right from this box here, and send it to your house. Then you can try it. And right now, with Athletic Greens, if you order it, you're going to get 5 free travel packs and a year supply of vitamin D3 and K2. They're literally going to give you vitamin D3 free for an entire year. And if you've heard me ramble on this at all in the last year, you know how important vitamin D is to your life to be healthy. I'm going to go down the rabbit hole in a second, but what we did is we went to Athletic Greens. We're like, hey guys, what can we do to make people the healthiest possible? Because before we used to give just the travel packs, and I'm like, can we do something on top of that that's going to help them, live their healthiest life? And they're like, well, we can give them the greens, we can give them some travel packs, but what if we gave them vitamin D3? And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do that. Because the D is crucial to your life. So if you're interested, the site is athleticgreens.com/JeremyScott. You get a year's supply of vitamin D3, 5 free travel packs, and then obviously you'll get your normal Athletic Greens with it. And I'm happy to send you a pack to try if you're unsure. But I sent out this email on Friday to our newsletter, and we have, I think, like 15 total physicians that come here and work out in our facility. And one of them, Missy Rumpel, had messaged me back. She is DNP, CPNP-PC, APN Genetics, Banner, Children's Specialist, Child Neurology, blah, blah, blah. It's way too, I don't even know what those things mean. Super smart. And she's been coming here for like a trillion years. She's an amazing person. And she had replied to the message, and I'm going to kind of cite all the stuff she sent me. But I'm going to read this because this is coming from, the medical people in our facility here and that we work with. And again, all I'm doing, you guys, is trying to paint a picture of how important some of these things are. And literally, if Athletic Greens is going to give you vitamin D free for a year, why not do it? Like, these are simple things you can do to put your body in the best position to be successful. And she goes on to write, and I quote, "D is so incredibly important, and almost everyone is low!" Exclamation point. That's the first sentence I got from her. She goes, "I recommend it to most of, if not all of my pediatric neurology patients to take it at varying levels depending on their blood work. There is an increased risk associated with multiple sclerosis relapse. Really low levels increase for fractures among other orthopedic complications." Basically goes on to say she had a 4-year-old patient a few months ago that had a femur fracture after jumping off a couch due to the vitamin D levels being extremely low. It goes on to list a handful of other things, but if you only took one vitamin supplement, she goes, take D3 followed by a probiotic, or at least a combination of it. She goes, "That's what we give to baby George." And they just had a baby. I don't know how old babies are. He's got hair. I don't know if he talks. I don't think he talks yet or walks. But he's in his little stroller. They just came in here and worked out, her and her husband. Pretty badass. But she goes on to say most multivitamins don't have enough D3 in them, and they need an additional supplement. And she goes, and now, which makes complete sense since given those who are severely impacted by COVID, we're seeing an increase of risk for COVID and COVID complications with these deficiencies. Now I'm going to go back to one thing really quick that she said. If you were to take one vitamin or supplement, I would take D3 followed by a probiotic. So with the greens, you get all that shit with your probiotic, and they're throwing in the D3K2. It's pretty badass. But she sent me this breakdown from the U.S. National Library of Medicine, the National Institute of Health. And it says low vitamin D levels have been associated with a risk in inflammatory cytokines and significantly increased risk of pneumonia and viral upper respiratory tract infections. Vitamin D deficiency is associated with an increase in thrombotic episodes, which are frequently observed in COVID-19. Vitamin D deficiency has been found to occur more frequently in patients with obesity and diabetes. These conditions are reported to carry a higher mortality rate in COVID-19. If vitamin D does in fact reduce the severity of COVID-19 in regards to pneumonia, ARDS, inflammation, inflammatory cytokines, and thrombosis, it is our opinion that supplements would offer a relatively easy option to decrease the impact of the pandemic. www.ncbi.nlmnih.gov. U.S. National Library of Medicine, National Institute of Health. Coming from a physician who comes to our facility, had sent me that. It's not just my opinion. I'm not just making this shit up. I try to give you guys the best information that I can get from people who are much smarter than me and who are in it every single day and are dealing with it. So, if you're interested, I think it would be to your best benefit. If you're not taking a greens and you're not taking a D, hit me up on the offer, get on it, take it for life, just like I do, and hopefully we can get back to just kicking ass and having beers at baseball games and just doing normal dumb shit with our friends out in groups, running around like crazy. That is my hope for later on in 2021. Which brings me to one more topic really fast before I kick into today. I saw this post a long time, and it was either on Facebook or Instagram or somewhere, and I just screenshotted the text of it, and it said, "A 2021 challenge. What if you stop talking about the possibility of getting sick, lost money, or no control? And what if you could only talk about healthy living, security, and being powerful?" Just a little mindset shift for you guys there. And then also I gotta mention this fast. My buddy Joe, shout out to Joe Koner, Nocturnity alumni, had sent me this. I don't know if he thought it's because it's me, which I think it is, which I appreciate, and I'm also a little bit frightened too. From Uber Facts that Psychopaths comprise about 1% of the general population, but make up about 21% of the CEOs in the United States. And then it's a picture of Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, if you guys are familiar. It's my favorite movie of all time. But psychopaths comprise about 1% of the general population, but make up 21% of the CEOs in the United States, which seems fitting and also very frightening at the same time. So thank you, Joe, for that. It has nothing to do with today's podcast, but I thought it was cool, so I told him I would share it on the episode. But anyways, if you guys got questions on anything I ramble on about for the first 10 minutes, hit me up. I'm happy to dig into detail and hook you up with any deals, supplements, discounts, anything I can here in the future. Now, we're talking the stages of fat loss breakdown. What do you need to do where you are at in your fat loss journey from 100 pounds down to 10 pounds and beyond? And I've talked about this in a roundabout way here a handful of times on different episodes, and we're going to kind of go step by step here. And we've worked with people, obviously, in this place who have had over 100 pounds to lose. We've had people here lose, I believe, like 150 pounds, 120 pounds, 100 pounds, and then obviously everything on down in between. And I'm not talking just weight loss here. We're talking fat loss, and we're talking things that are sustainable for a lifestyle. It's really easy for people to lose 20 pounds quickly if they do really extreme stuff. The problem is it's not sustainable. And so what is it worth, to do it and then just literally go right back to where you started, or even worse? Because obviously if we're talking about, crash dieting, over exercising, fucking with our metabolism, messing with our central nervous system, there's so many bad habits that go with like the binging and starving, that kind of methodology of eating and training. I'm not a fan of it. So BJ Gador, once told me his favorite quote for people with nutrition was, if it's not, sustainable, it's not attainable. And I do believe that holds to be true. The people that I've seen be the most successful in the past 15 years or so are the ones who make a mindset shift and the ones who make it a lifestyle. And lifestyles change. Obviously, the stuff I was doing at 22 is not the same things I'm doing today. And, as you know better, you do better, right? You become more educated, you learn from your failures, and there's different seasons of life. Sometimes your foot's on the gas going 100. Sometimes your foot's just cruising at 70, but you're always making progress, you're always moving forward, but you might have to shift and change it, and that's okay. But the general outline here works for everybody at these stages of how to be fit. And what is it worth to do something for 35 days and then go right back to where you started? It seems really deflating. It seems depressing. It'd be like making, if your goal is to lose 100 pounds and you worked hard and you did it in 6 months, which would be insanely fast. I've never heard of anybody doing that. But you did it by crash dieting, starving yourself, exercising, 4 hours a day. And then real life happens. You get a husband or you get a wife, maybe you have kids, you get a different career, and all of a sudden you can't do that. You can't work out 4 hours a day. You got different responsibilities. You have different goals. You have different things and interests you're into. You don't want to spend 4 hours in the gym. You don't want to starve yourself. But because that's what you did to get there, you have to keep doing that to stay there. And that would be like making $1 million and then losing it all and then going back to make $35,000. That would suck. Now, I'm not a super greedy person, but that would be deflating even mentally for me. You get what I'm saying? That like, why would you want to do something for just a short term? It's just a quick fix, but it's not a long-term fix. I'd rather fix the root cause of the problem. I'd rather slow things down, reverse engineer how to do it correctly, and build a foundation of skills you can live on for the rest of your life. That's what we try to do here with everybody. I think that's what all of you guys should do who are listening. So sometimes it's going to be slower. If I'm anything, my God, I am patient with everything. I'm almost probably to a fault, but it's how I've done everything. And I think you guys need to be the same. So if you look at this, what can I do that's, challenging, but also maintainable? So I talked to a guy yesterday on the phone. He's a new online coaching client. He's in New York. He's Irish. So He's like, I'm always, I'm going to go out and drink 10 beers. That's never going to change. He goes, I might do it once a week. I might do it twice a week. He goes, and I don't always have to drink 10, but he's Irish, so he's like, that's easy for me. Because I was like, holy shit, dude, 10 beers. He's like, it's nothing. It's like, drinking the water. And, but that's what he's going to do. Like, he's going to do that probably at least once a week. Go play golf with his buddies and smash a bunch of beers. So knowing that, he needs to build that around his lifestyle and what he's trying to do and where he's at in his journey. And there might come a point where he has to give and take with some of that. But if that's who he is and he can do it responsibly and he can have fun with his friends and he likes to, get a little buzz on once in a while, that's fine. But you have to understand that when you're doing something like, what am I willing to give up? What am I willing to keep? And what's realistic for the long haul? And I'm not saying you can't do something for short term, like, give up drinking for 60 days or 90 days. That's fine. But if you're the person who likes to have a glass of wine or a beer now and then, don't build something around like you never drinking being the only way you can be successful. Hopefully that makes sense what I'm saying here. So if we go down the list, like 100 pounds or more to lose, like you're the person who's probably not been active and you've probably been eating like shit and drinking like shit and not really doing the things you need to do to be successful. Because literally, if you're 100 pounds overweight, I don't see how you have that. What I would suggest, start small, shallow end, not the deep end. You, my friend, are in the kiddie pool right now with the floaties and the kickboard. We're not dropping you off in the middle of the ocean. You're not going to make it. You're not a Navy SEAL. So 100 pounds or more, just focus on, breaking a sweat. And just focus on consistently moving your body for like 30 minutes every day, just to get started. That can just be walking in all reality. If you got 100 pounds or more to lose and you're not sure what to do, start walking every day for at least a half an hour. Build your steps up. Maybe you start at 3,000 steps a day. Then it goes to 5,000. And by the end of the month, I'd hope you'd be at like 10,000 steps per day. That's going to take some effort for sure. But after 30 days, you'll get there. And it's just walking. Put on a podcast like me. Put on your favorite music. Watch Rocky IV. I don't give a shit. Whatever your thing is to get you hyped, you need to start doing that. Get a walking buddy. Get an accountability friend. Get a dog. They need walks. They love it. It's a favorite part of their day. Be so jacked and hyped, you'll feel like an asshole if you don't take your dog for a walk. At least I do. So it's like that will help you naturally just do it. And the thing is, if you're eating fast food 7 days a week and eating like shit 3 meals a day, just start with like 1 meal a day. Or start with 1 day of the week where you're not eating garbage. Start with 1 meal that a healthy person would eat. Protein, produce, and water. And if you eat fast food 7 days a week, maybe you only eat it 6 days a week. I don't know where you are exactly on your journey mentally, but you have to just do little things. A lot of times those people want to jump in and say, well, how many days should I come work out here, Jeremy? 5 days a week, 6 days a week? You have the Sunday crazy group. I'm like, that's not for you right now. You got to start slow. I would say do mobility if you can. Just work on toe touches. Just work on doing, some inchworms if you can. Box squats. Just sitting on like a bench or sitting on a chair and just getting up a couple of times. Really, really simple things. And with just your walking. And if you have the ability to get a good coach, they can walk you through some of the very basic exercises. Basic pushes, basic pulls. All these are going to be regressed and have to be modified from the original versions, and that's okay. Because when you're that deep in the hole, you just got to start slow. Because what happens if you you get a gym membership, or you get in like a program and you walk in 100 pounds overweight and you haven't done shit, and you go through day 1, you're sore for 4 days, you can't fucking move, and your ass hurts so bad you can't sit down in the seat. That's not a good place to be. So I'd rather go shallow end than deep end, and that's kind of how we walk people through the steps. And just start with food education. If you have a friend, if you have a coach, if you have accountability, but just ask them, hey, what's something healthy I should throw into my diet? Should I take an athletic greens? Should I take a vitamin D? How much water should I drink a day? These are little things you can start to learn, but at first just get a sweat going, get walking, get your body moving. That's it. Next one, 90 pounds to go. So you're the next phase. Like I said, at least 5,000 steps a day. At least 5,000 steps. If you can get to 10, great. Every day. not 4 days a week, not 5 days a week. You're walking at least 5,000 steps every day minimum. Right now, I have not moved that much today. It is 11 in the morning and I'm at 7,500 steps so far. I'll probably get 20,000 by the end of the day. Now, obviously this is what I do for a living, but it goes to show you, it doesn't take that much to get 5,000 total steps in. On top of that, I would do one workout. At least one workout once or twice a week, for sure. Anything you want, something. So 90 pounds to lose, 5,000 steps minimum. If you can get to 10, 10's great. 1 or 2 legit workouts per week, and just body weight stuff is fine. You know, simple stuff. I'm gonna do 100 squats this day. That's it. Call it good. This day I'm gonna do just a couple of inchworms. I'm gonna do some step ups, maybe some TRX rows. Basic. You know, set the clock for 30 minutes and just easily flow through it. Take as much rest as you need to. And while you're resting, don't sit down. Just walk around. Get your steps in. Basic things. And then start to just retool your eating a little bit, right? Start to just change some little things. Make little swaps as you go. Again, I'm not telling you to be perfect. Even on these phases, I don't want to get super detailed, but just starting to understand what macros are, just having a conversation about what proteins, what carbs, what fats come into your body, what things are good choices, what things are bad choices. This is a nice place to start this. Now, disclaimer, usually what I do is I start people tracking on MyFitnessPal right off the bat, but for a lot of people it's overwhelming up front. So maybe for some of you that's later on, and I'm gonna dig into it around the 50-pound range, but I do think for everybody, if you're really, you know, have anxiety and you're timid and you're nervous, maybe don't do that yet, because I know this is a lot to chew on, but I tend to throw people into that just for the educational piece. I'm not telling them they have to be perfect. I literally just say track everything you eat, just so you see it. And if you can't figure it out, then skip it. Don't worry about it. Like, you don't have to be, you know, insane with it, but I do think it matters just to start to learn, like, what's in a banana, what's in a half a cup of oatmeal, you know, what is 6 ounces of chicken. Really simple things to get going. 80 pounds to lose. I would say this is the point where you can start doing some legit stuff. Depending, obviously, if you're, you know, 6'5" and you got 80 pounds to lose, or you're 5'5" and you have 80 pounds to lose. These are gonna make a difference. So obviously these are generalizations here. We coach people on a case-by-case basis. That's why I would say get a coach, get a community, get an accountability partner. This does help, so you can play off of each other and somebody can guide you. You know, can I do my own taxes? Well, no, I'm a moron. But if I was like a normal person and it's like I got a basic W-2 from a job, I guess I could do my taxes, but I don't. I have a professional help me and do them, and obviously now, because it's so complex, that's how I look at it, right? So we run a couple businesses here. So there's a couple different entities. They all kind of feed into one, and some of them are, you know, subsidiaries of others. And obviously we have real estate investments and retirement accounts and mutual funds outside of retirement accounts. There's all these different moving parts that we have here. And I get, you know, probably like 8 different 1099s from all these companies, from Amazon to you know, Google shit to Athletic Greens to Beam, to you name it. So all these things are coming in. In the financial world, I look at it like I'm 100 pounds overweight. I can't really do this by myself. I need a coach to help me. You know, I'm learning all these things along the way with them. I'm asking questions of our CPA. I'm asking questions of our financial advisor. I ask questions of the attorney, typically through email, because I don't want to pay the hourly rate on the phone. But I'm asking those because I'm the 100 pounds overweight in terms of I can't do it all by myself. I could maybe try, but I would fuck it up, I would fail, and I would never really reach my full potential. But with the help of these guys, I can lose the weight. With the help of these guys, I can be financially successful and independent. That's how I think of it for you guys. So if you're in these ranges, having a coach, having a community, having accountability is crucial and key. We do it with everything else in life. Yet we think sometimes in health and fitness we can do it solo. And some people can, but very few. That's why you don't see that many fit people walking around. You just have to think of it from, instead of just one narrow lane, like one vertical vector, start thinking horizontally. And okay, I do this with my finances, well shit, maybe it works for my fitness. I do this with my real estate, maybe this works for my fitness. You can compare them. They're very similar as you go. But I digress. The 80 pounds overweight. I think this is where you guys got to start training like 3 times a week, or that be just like resistance training. Honestly, probably a mix of like some kind of metabolic training, I think is key. So you're getting the, some resistance work, some aerobic work, some of it high intensity, and high intensity is a relative term, some low intensity, some mobility. And I think this is where you kind of start to fall into the 3x52, 3 workouts a week, every week for 52 weeks. Anywhere from, 30 minutes is probably fine. If you want to do some mobility and add on, maybe 40 minutes-ish, but 30 is probably more than enough. And this is on top of you doing your 5,000 to 10,000 steps a day. And I think this is where people really, once you've lost the initial, shit weight, and when I say that, like when you're 100 to 80 pounds, so if you go from 100 pounds overweight to 80 pounds overweight, that's pretty easy. Because if you're doing everything wrong, if you do anything right, it works. If you're 100 pounds overweight and you're not exercising, you get up off your ass and you walk every day, you're gonna lose some weight. And then if you start to eat a little bit better, gangbusters, dude. The weight's gonna it's melting off. That first 20 is gone. And once that first 20 goes, it's gonna start to slow a little bit, which it's fine. Fat loss is not linear, it doesn't have to be perfect. But what you're gonna have to do is probably start tracking your food. And don't worry about the numbers and don't beat yourself up over super, I went over 14 carbohydrates here. Who gives a shit? You ate McDonald's 14 times a week 3 weeks ago. Doesn't matter if you ate 9 more carrots today. Don't be a crazy person. You have to always put it into context of what you used to do to what you're doing now. We get people here who used to just have 25 drinks a week and go out to dinner every single night, and they're worried about because they ate, too much cauliflower and they went over on their carbs. That's insanity. That's a crazy person. Don't do that shit. So if you're tracking the food, don't worry about the numbers right away. Just get in the habit of tracking it and be mindful of what's going in and have an idea of the numbers and just to see what you typically do. And you kind of just audit as you go through. How do I feel? How much did I eat this day? Was I more hungry? Was I less hungry? Was I tired? Was I hangry? Did I have energy in the workouts? You're starting to build this level of body awareness and awareness around your nutrition and what's going in and how it's making you feel and perform. Then you're gonna get down to the 70-pound range. This is where you have a legit program. You're working out 3, times a week, legitly. Some metabolic, resistance weight training is mixed in there. Typically in the same session would be ideal. This is where you're doing your aerobic routine. You're at 10,000 steps a day, every single day. And then with your MyFitnessPal or your food journal, you are trying to take the bad shit out. You're making a conscious effort now to limit the shitty meals to only a couple times a week. So at 100 pounds, we used to eat like trash every day. Now you're starting to limit it to maybe, I'm only gonna say fuck it, 2-3 times a week. Because now I'm getting into eating real food. Now I'm getting into, I'm a healthy person. I'm gonna eat vegetables every day. I'm gonna eat protein every single day. I'm gonna take my proper supplements. I'm gonna drink enough water as I go through. And I'll touch on the details and the nuances here, you guys, at the end, so don't think I'm glossing over, because I'm gonna go over this all as a whole, but I wanna get through all the weights here first. So you're training 3 times a week. You literally are tracking your food now, and you're trying to limit the shitty meals to 2 or 3 times a week, if you will, while you're getting your 10,000 steps in. Then you get down to 60 pounds. This is maybe where you start to increase the training volume. And so what I mean is you might be doing your 3 workouts a week. Maybe you mix up to 4. So you go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then you throw in a Saturday. Or you do Monday, Wednesday, Friday workouts, and now you're going for a hike. Or you do Monday, Wednesday, Friday workouts, you're going for a bike ride. You know what I'm saying? You're doing yoga. You're integrating some things that maybe you used to do as a kid, or things that you love, or just getting into some new shit to see what your jam is. But you're increasing the training volume to a 4th day per week if you can. And then with your food journal or your MyFitnessPal, you're gonna start to record the average amount of calories you eat every day, just so you know. And at this point, we probably are establishing we know what macros are, and we might be drilling down on their goals. Now, I typically do this with people who are even 100 pounds overweight. But again, if you're not comfortable yet, we do weight with some people as we kind of dig into it. And so you know the calories that are coming in. You're eating 2,000 calories per day. And you're starting to figure out what the macros are. You know, do most of my calories come from proteins? Do they come from carbs? Do they come from fats? And if you find yourself not losing fat and losing weight, and it's really stalled and it's really slow, then we have to eat less than that average. Does that make sense? And if you are losing fat, you know, a half a pound to a pound or 2 pounds a week, you can keep that average because we're at a deficit clearly and we're still losing. But along this journey, if you notice you're eating 3,000 calories and you haven't lost weight in 3 weeks, I think we're either at a maintenance level if we haven't gained, so we need to create a deficit. So we need to adjust the calories and adjust the macros, which diversify those calories accordingly to help you guys keep making progress. So we've increased activity, step one, and then two, we're starting to know exactly what is coming in and where we have to make the adjustment. I am a fan of always increasing the activity if you have the time and your body feels good before we take away a ton of food. Unless of course you're eating like an idiot, then obviously we would adjust the food. But everybody's a little bit different, but I think more people would tend to move a little bit more as opposed to eat a little bit less. And then obviously you find a synergy and a balance there along your journey, which takes us down to 50 pounds to lose. So more of the same as the people who are in kind of that 60-pound range. You begin really understanding your protein intake. You know, you'll most likely want to use like MyFitnessPal to really dig down on this. And what you're going to do for most people is strive to average about 1 gram of protein per pound you weigh of lean weight. So usually the prescription we give is 0.8 grams to 1 gram per pound somebody weighs. But if you're 250 pounds and you're a woman, you're probably not going to eat 250 grams of protein. Nothing against ladies. Dudes tend to eat more meat, as well. I've seen, I'm generalizing here, but dudes tend to do that more. So the dude might go to 250 grams. A female might be at 175 grams. I think that's fine for the sake of this. Now, obviously, those are, you know, bigger numbers, and if you're that big, you might have more than 50 pounds to lose. But I'm just throwing out arbitrary examples for you guys. So I do think for most of you, as you start to dig down, you're tracking it on MyFitnessPal. You know what your calories are coming in. You struggle because most people, generally speaking, their carbs are out of this world, their fats are across the board, and they don't eat enough protein. So if you can get to the point where you're eating about 0.8 grams to 1 gram a pound of protein per pound you weigh of lean tissue, I think that's probably ideal. So for a lot of you guys, well, how the hell do I figure that out, Jeremy? If you wanted to say, hey, I'm a 200-pound dude and I'm gonna eat between like 170 grams of protein or 200 grams, that's fine. Females, I don't think as much is required. And honestly, even for dudes, I don't think you have to eat that much either. But if you're not eating the protein and you're still hungry, what are you gonna fill the calories with? That's typically the issue that we run into. So if you're trying to figure out like, okay, what is my lean weight? You take the amount that you weigh, subtract the amount of weight and fat you want to lose, and then the average to that is the number of protein in each day. Hopefully that makes sense. But simplistically, if you guys want to shoot for 1 gram per pound you weigh or less, I think that's fine. And honestly, if you really struggle with it, for people, if I'm just going to give a blanket kind of number and estimation, if you track your food on MyFitnessPal and you're not eating at least 100 grams of protein per day, for most of you, I think you got to up that. Now, if you're a female and you weigh 110 pounds, I don't think you have to go over 100. You can be less. But if you're a dude listening and you're 197 pounds and you're eating 88 grams of protein, I don't think that's enough, dude. To build muscle tissue, if that's the goal, you need to be in a surplus, but also have enough aminos going through your bloodstream all the time. But I think you have to have more because you're going to fill the calories with other things. And if all else fails, I would say default to proteins for sure. Next one, 40 pounds to lose. This is someone starting at, you know, the 100 pounds and kind of as they detail through it. But if you're someone you got 40 pounds to lose, and obviously you do all the things above. So when I say these, everything above still applies to you here. And then you just kind of gauge where you're at and where you start on your journey. That's why I'm trying to get as much information in each category. And then again, I'll round this out at the end. But if you get 40 pounds to dump and you start at 100, I think you have to even if you don't track this, you have the general idea of your weights, your sets, your reps in your workouts, and you have to strive to beat those numbers the next time that same workout comes up. And so if you're doing, thrusters or like a dumbbell squat to press, and you're using 15-pound dumbbells, and you've been using 15-pound dumbbells, maybe you go to 20s. And if 20s become easy, maybe go to 25s. And so you can always mess with the weights and the sets and the reps, but you have to have a general idea of what you can do, what's realistic, what's progress, and what's being a lazy ass. Only you know that. Same thing if you get on the assault bike. How many calories can you do in a minute? If it's normally 10 calories, can you do 15 now? Or is your aerobic capacity increasing? Is your endurance increasing? Your stamina, your overall strength. Those are things you have to be mindful of. And so an example would be like if you're doing one of the EMOMs, right? An every minute on the minute workout with cardio workouts, such as, let's say 10 calories on the bike, every minute on the minute for 10 minutes. And then can you do that? And then how many rounds, when do you die out? So you do that a minute. Can you do it for 10 minutes? Can you do it for 13 minutes? Can you do it for 15 minutes? And then when that workout comes up again in your program, like in 2 weeks, did the minutes increase? Or did the calories increase? So you always want to be trying to outdo yourself and get a little bit better. And it doesn't always have to be low. I talked about this with the guy on the phone yesterday. You can't always get stronger in terms of absolute strength. At some point, you just can't deadlift anymore. Most of us, if you're listening to me and you're 24, I guess your deadlift can still go up, but at some point you're going to be 34 and you're going to be 44 and you're probably not going to be deadlifting 600 pounds anymore. And if you are, you're a freak anomaly, and I don't know if you should be, because something bad is probably going to happen. Hopefully it doesn't, knock on wood, but you get what I'm saying here. You only have so many fitness checks you can cash before something rips or tears or pulls. And that's literally, when I train now, I always ask myself, like just like you guys with the food, I ask myself, is the juice worth the squeeze here? And I do not think there's a workout I would ever go through where I look at it and I go, well, me deadlifting this today is worth me ripping and tearing and having something go wrong. Now that could happen anyway. That's just shitty luck and life and micro tears and genetics and whatever. But I would be pissed knowing I pushed it to, I guess have an ego stroke. I'm the only one in here. It's like nobody is watching me lift and nobody gives a shit. And on Instagram, 10-pound plates look like 45-pound plates, so who gives a fuck? But it's like, why would I do that, risk, serious injury for what? Who cares if I can deadlift 600 pounds today or 500 pounds today? It means nothing. I'm strong to, the average accountant, but to my friends who are super strong, I'm not. So it's like, my point is when you're doing things, load is not the only variable. At some point, you're not going to get stronger. At some point, you're not going to pick up heavier weights. In fact, you're going to regress. You're probably going to pick up lighter weights, and that's okay, because there's multiple ways to skin a cat. I shared a video on Instagram last week of how to blow up your chest and shoulders by pre-exhausting the muscles by doing push-ups first, then hopping on the bench press, doing the dumbbell presses afterwards, where you've already smoked the pec major and minor, anterior shoulders are already fried, your triceps are already on fire. Now we pick up probably half of the load we could do. So if we normally, press 100-pound dumbbells, now we're pressing 50-pound dumbbells, but we've already done the push-ups before. So our body's already smoked. And now those lighter loads seem super heavy, but it's easier on the joints. It's less load overall. We've just increased the volume. We've increased the time under tension for the muscles. So in theory, more hypertrophy, more muscle gain. See what I'm saying here? Like, there's a million ways to do it. So when you're tracking progress, don't just look at it, from a narrow point of view, because people tend to do that with training. They say, well, they do this that's why progress, right? So the only measure of progress for people sometimes in the fat loss is the scale. And we have a whole podcast on this, but if you didn't lose weight this week, it doesn't mean you didn't make progress. It doesn't mean you failed. It's just one measure of progress, and it's a shitty fucking measure of progress. It's like what we do in society, right? We measure success sometimes, or at least we say this. And I don't know, I'm not judging anybody. Whatever you think is successful, it's up to you. It's every individual. But we do this with people, with job titles, with the money they make, and all this shit. We measure it in such a narrow frame. We say, well, so-and-so makes money, so they're successful. And then this person doesn't make as much money, so they're not as successful. That, my friends, is not correct. That is not what success is. It's just like the gym. Just because you're not stronger on your deadlift doesn't mean you didn't make progress. Just because you didn't make $400,000 last year doesn't mean you're not successful. Doesn't mean you didn't make progress. Doesn't mean you didn't become more enlightened, a better person. You gave back to the world. There's all these things you can measure, and that's how I look at fitness. We just tend to think of it as black and white, and it's not. There's a lot of gray area there. So for you guys who are looking at your weight, it's not just that. How do your clothes fit? How are you moving? How much self-confidence do you have? Do you have improved mobility? Like, are you having more fun in your life? These are all things that you can measure progress with. But in terms of the training, you should be tracking it and just seeing how things are going. And for a lot of people, I think it'd be a hell of a lot more important for them to be able to, go through kind of pain-free ranges of motion, be able to touch their toes, then see what their PR is in their back squat. There's nothing wrong with that. It's cool to be strong. It's good to be strong. It's important. But for the 49-year-old house mom, I don't think she gives a fuck what she back squats. But if she doesn't have pain in her hips and she can lunge freely and she can do jumping jacks, chase her kids around, she can touch her toes, I think that's progress. I think that's super important. And over time, you can measure those things just like you can measure overall just deadlifting strength. Hopefully that made sense. 30 pounds. More of the same, really, honestly, of the 60, 50, 40 pounds. And now your eating is going to begin really, really to drill down, if it hasn't already. Again, I tend to do this earlier, but if you're listening to me and you don't have a coach and you don't have accountability, what I would suggest is this. I think at any point, just tracking it just to see what comes in is great. But as you start to lose weight, it's going to be harder. It works like this. The better the further along in the fat loss journey you get, the harder it becomes until you become like the super fit. Then the rich get richer. I always compare finances because they parallel each other. Like when you're a billionaire, it's way easier to make money. It just is. Like you have so much more control. You can lose so many more times, and compound interest is your friend. And you can buy and sell shit, and you can lose 9 times, but if you win 10, you still won. When you're super, super fit and super lean, your body is so efficient all the time. How you're sleeping, what you eat, your metabolism, how it's running. Like you can eat like shit and shit and shit, and your body bounces back and back and back. And at some point it won't, but you can get away with more shit because you've built this foundation where the rich get richer, the fit get fitter. It's kind of the same thing. When you're not quite there yet, I do think it's important to really drill down on the specifics because it's going to get harder until it doesn't. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like when you get to the extreme levels, yes, but the journey to becoming a billionaire, like you can't take as many losses. Like the compound interest in the stuff still works for you, but it's not as easy until you get to that. It's like what we call like hitting critical mass, right? And at that point, it just crushes. It's like if you are trying to sell a product and you have 100 people following you on Instagram, it's really hard to do. When you have 100,000 people following you, it's a lot fucking easier. You get what I'm saying here? It's the reverse in that fat loss world. So when you first start on the journey, it's super easy. It's fast, it's quick. When you're at the end of the journey, it's hard to get out of that mode because you've been solidified in being so lean and so fit for so long. But that in-between phase is where you have to be specific. So when you get down and you're making progress, and then it slows, maybe this is like that 30-pound range, this is where you have to really make time for tracking the macros. Not just the calories, you got to be specific with the proteins, the carbs, and the fats. And you have to strive, I would say, for you guys to eat a majority of your carbohydrates in the form of vegetables. I would say at least half, maybe. And the other half, starches, grains, whatever, if you do well with grains. Again, this is arbitrary numbers. I'm throwing these out there and giving you generalizations. If you can eat most of your carbs and vegetables, with some fruits here and there, sky's the limit, dude. I just think the volume of food you can eat, and when you eat real food, you tend to self-regulate. I had this talk with Mike D the other day, and you never find yourself eating 5 apples. At least I never have. I'm not a horse. Like, I'm not gonna eat 5 apples in a row. Now, if I go to Crumble Cookies on the way home, or I stop at Nothing Bundt Cakes, I can crush 4 or 5 of those things without skipping a beat. I'll feel like a bag of shit, and like I'm hungover, and I have like a sugar coma, but I can easily do it because I don't self-regulate when I eat those things. When you're eating real food, you self-regulate, especially when you're eating vegetables. You'll eat whatever asparagus is kind of on the plate, but you're not gonna keep going back and back and back and back, unless you're a crazy person. And then, so what'd you do? You ate 2 pounds of asparagus, you were super full, and your pee smelled for 3 days, but that's fine. Like, that's my point though. So when you're in that 30-pound range, you guys have to really drill down the specifics of your proteins, carbs, and fats. And protein and the fats should be, those are essential. Those are healthy for you, and make the carbs really count. And make them be healthy, real food carbohydrates, if and when you can. Then next one, 20 pounds. Last 20 pounds, I think you guys have to start to increase the activity again here a little bit. So you're probably training 5 times a week, 30 by 5. So 30 minutes, 5 times a week. You're gonna have to push yourself here. Maybe pick up some heavier shit. You really try to punch it. Maybe a couple more high intensity sessions. I mean, really that miserable stuff, the metabolic training, man, the misery. And you're tracking, what you do on the assault bike. You're tracking what you row, what you ski, how much you squat, how much you're lunging, how much you're overhead pressing. And you're trying to beat those numbers. Not every single workout, but you're trying to strive to be better every single week. And obviously auditing and playing off of how you feel. But you gotta do a little bit more. You gotta challenge yourself a little bit here. This is where you're gonna have to, in my opinion, really start visiting your pain cave and really start pushing it and really be diligent about your food. You can't fuck around at this point. You're gonna have to get a little bit more serious. You really gotta, know what's going on with booze, know what's going on with your sugars. Really just kind of drill down, because it's gonna get harder and harder here until you're solidified in the mold that you want to be in for a long period of time, when your body kind of reaches its new norm, if you will. And then gets you to the last 10 pounds, which, it's really the same as the 20 pounds, but now if you're eating, the protein has to be on point. And for a lot of you guys, it's probably gonna make up, maybe 40% of your total calories, give or take. And those are gonna come in lean forms of protein. You're no longer really eating bullshit, because all the stuff you did before got you to this point. But you can't keep doing the same thing. Your body needs that last little push. So that's you eating, all the stuff chicken, lean steak cuts, lean beef, the ground turkey, your organic eggs, egg whites. And the other 30% of your fats are gonna come from healthy fats, right? So if it is whole eggs, if it is coconut oil, if it is avocados, if it is chia seeds, the things that are really gonna help your body, you're eating healthy food. You're now a health person. You've been on this journey long enough to where you're not fucking around anymore. You're almost to the point where you're so happy with your achievements, and you should be at this point anyway. If you've gone this far, you have to, this is not on my list at all, but you have to stop and celebrate these little wins, and not celebrate them with a night of binge drinking and then eating Taco Bell at 2 a.m. That is not a celebration. That's just gonna put you deeper in the hole. But you gotta give yourself a pat on the back. You gotta really just be happy with the progress you've made, and don't hate yourself because you have the 10 pounds left. Be going fucking nuts because you lost 90 pounds. It's an amazing accomplishment. It's super badass. But in terms of food, protein's gotta be there. Lean cuts, healthy fats, and then obviously you fill the rest of the day with your carbohydrates, and typically you're eating those around your workouts or to fuel whatever activity you're doing. And you can eat shit like once a week is fine, like a 60-minute window, have a cheat meal, that's cool. But you really gotta drill down. And now you're a fitness person. So you're doing mobility every day. You're doing foam rolling, you're probably getting massages, you're recovering, because when you train, you're fucking training. Like when you train, you're pushing it, and you're no bullshit anymore. You're really trying to get it in, and that's what you need to do. Your pain cave, you know it well, because you've been there, and you're gonna be visiting it a little bit more, and that's okay, because you've built this foundation of skills through proper eating, through training, and you did it in a way that was progressive and something that's going to be sustainable over time. And obviously, these are roundabout things. And I've skimmed over a lot of stuff here, you guys, on a lot of these levels, but I'm going to drill down on a couple of handfuls you can take with you no matter where you're at or how much progress you're trying to make. We've done a podcast on the cost of getting lean, which is different than this, but similar. This one, I want to just kind of go with the weight steps of where you're at. So if you're someone like, well, Jeremy, I got 100 pounds to lose, you know to start slow. And you can take the next 10 things I lay out here and you can use these as well. But I've helped thousands of people at each of these levels over the year. And this is a nice outline or a nice compass to kind of guide you. And, obviously, my homie Travis Merritt kind of laid out an outline for this. And each person obviously has a unique set of skills and a unique set of advantages and disadvantages that can drastically either help you or can weigh you down in each stage that you go through. And you have to understand that. That's why, obviously, I'm talking to each of you who are listening, but each person individually is going to be different. Some of you might got 4 kids. Some of you got no kids. Some of you might travel for work. Some of you stay at home for work. Some of you, your work is super stressful. Some of you, it isn't. Some of you, your husband and wife are awesome. Some of you, your husband and wife, you might want to bury them somewhere and you'll be on a Dateline episode soon. So there's different stresses and different things that are going on in your life. I understand that. But take this as a general outline and a compass as your North Star to kind of point you in the right direction of where you're going. And what I'm about to share with you here, this is like a challenge to all of you guys. This is something that I'm actually probably going to throw into a detailed version into our next online coaching program, which we've already filmed it. I don't even know the name of it yet, but it's the best fitness programming that I've done for sure. That I know. Nothing else even comes close. But I'm going to throw these kind of in there as a guide, if you will. And for anybody listening, this is kind of like a challenge to you to help you build momentum, to help you kind of transform and reshape your body, no matter if you're 100 pounds, 50 pounds, or you've got 10 pounds to go. And these are kind of just general quick tips. I would say if you can integrate these into your life now, sky's the limit for you guys, no matter whatever level that you're at. And some of you are going to ease into this. Some of you can take all these, you can chew them, you can consume them, and then just, we can go crazy with them. But the first one, sweat every day. At least 30 minutes every single day. Get a sweat in. Something. Even if it's just walking. I don't care. I'll do a podcast on what my training's like in 2021. But even me, I can't kill myself every day in here for hours. I can't recover fast enough. I can't eat enough. I can't sleep enough. And honestly, I'm so busy with all we have to do. It's just I don't have the hours in the day. Like my Monday for me is the most insane day. And when I look at it on paper, it seems almost like it's realistic. And I love it, and I also hate it on the same note. So that's my easiest training day. But even that, I get about 25,000 steps in with mobility throughout. So that's my version of sweating 30 minutes each day. So that's what I mean by that. I might not sit here and be dripping sweat, and I don't mean that you have to be doing the same, but you got to move. And I would say 30 minutes a day, get something going. Or if you want to exchange that, 10,000 steps, minimum. All of you guys listening, get your ass up and move. Just walk around. If you're stuck in Wisconsin or Minnesota, I'm sorry, that sucks. But get in your garage, get in your living room, go where you can go, bundle up if you will, watch Rocky 4. He's training to fight Drago. Pretend you're Rocky and see how you can bear the cold and get those 10,000 steps in. Next one. Drink at least 100 ounces of water every day. If you can do more is better. I would say if you can do an ounce per pound you weigh, that's great. So if you weigh 150 pounds, 150 ounces. That's a great place to start. But drink water, you guys. It's the lifeblood of you. Next to oxygen, it's the most important thing I think you can put in your body. Next one, eat 1 serving of vegetables every day. A cup is a good place to start. On top of that, shout out to Athletic Greens. If you can take a scoop of that, you guys are going to be doing okay. But at least eat 1 cup of real vegetables every single day. It's not that hard to do. You're a grown-ass adult. You filled your body with enough shit. If you used to take shots of Jägermeister at the bar, you can eat a cup of broccoli. It's not that hard. Next one. Record the numbers in your workouts, or at least have a good mental note of them, whether that be, the weights, the sets, the reps, the calories, the meters, whatever it may be, the time intervals. I rode the bike for 5 minutes. Now I do it for 6 minutes. I skied a 1K at, 4:10. Now I ski a 1K at 4 minutes. Things like that. And try to beat those numbers periodically. Challenge yourself throughout. At some point, you're going to reach the limits, but there's always different lanes. The endurance increases. The intervals become shorter. The calories become more, whatever it may be. Next one. Before you leave your office and close your laptop for the day and kind of just turn everything off, write down one thing you're appreciative of in your life. Write down one thing you can pat yourself on the back for. One thing that you did a good job with. It can be fitness or it can be anything in life. I don't give a shit. But this matters. When we talk about health and fitness, we talk about ripped abs and shredded glutes and macros, and all that stuff matters. But so does mentally. Giving yourself a pat on the back and being like, hey man, you made a good choice today. You could have ate 9 cinnamon rolls. You only ate 2. If that's where you're at on the journey, then that's where the fuck you're at. But if it's something else, hey man, I took my athletic greens today. Hey man, I drank my 200 ounces of water. Hey, I did 5 minutes of mobility. Little things. These little things stack up to be little wins, and you build the habits, and then it just becomes part of what you do. So before you leave the office and close your laptop or shut down work for the day, stop, take 1 minute, think about it, and write down one thing you're appreciative of that you did in the day. Or just eventually be like, I'm just appreciative that my husband is amazing, or that my wife is awesome, or that my kids didn't burn the house down. It could be little stuff, but the practice of it is what we're getting into. Next one. I would urge you to shut off all your screens an hour before you go to sleep. Don't sleep with your phone next to you. Put that shit in the other room. My wife, love her to death, had her phone on the other night. I had worked like 16 hours and someone is texting her at like 9:45, which is way past when I need to be going to sleep. And then the phone lights up, and literally, if I would have had a knife there, I probably would have dextered her there and she would no longer be with us. I'm joking when I say that, but to say I wasn't completely pissed off would be an understatement, and I was not speaking very nicely when it happened, because that's an asshole thing to do. And it's not good for her. It's not good for me. It's not good for you guys to see the screens light up, to know how that affects your sleep. And you don't need to be returning texts and emails when you're in bed. That shit's not that important. You can get to it the next day. Like, that's what I'm talking about. You have to shut those things down and get into this routine where you make your sleep a priority. Put yourself in a position to be successful, to get rest, to recover, to shut things off, to be mindful, to let the body and the mind heal and kind of ease into the evening. Next one. Do mobility every single day. Even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 2 minutes, I don't care. Inchworms, Spider-Man steps, world's greatest stretch, elevated pigeon stretch, hanging from a bar, foam rolling, whatever you need to do those things every day. Foam roll the glutes, the calves, the T-spine. Literally just move your body through space. Wake up and touch your toes and reach for the ceiling just 10 times. That's better than doing nothing. But do those things every single day. If that's where you're at in your journey, you're 100 pounds overweight, try to just touch your toes and then reach up towards the ceiling just 10 times before you do anything else. When you wake up in the morning, you wake up, you take a shit, you brush your teeth, reach down, reach up 10 times, and really stretch on the bottom and really stretch on the top. Simple. We're the only mammals that don't do it before movement, and it's so stupid. If you just start that routine, it's gonna build on itself. It's gonna compound over time to make you more flexible, and it's building the habits of saying you'll do something and then actually doing it. And the last one, consume the right content and be around the right people. I can't say this enough. Whether you're on a fat loss journey, a get out of debt journey, whether you're trying to, kick drugs and alcohol, whether you're trying to, further your education, whatever it may be, You have to consume the right content, and you got to be around the right people. You really do, man. I can't say this enough. The things you listen to, the things you watch, the people you surround yourself and your life with, it matters more than you think. And if you hang around a bunch of losers who have terrible habits and are super negative, and you think you're going to be super successful and kind and amazing as a human, you got another thing coming, dude. It just doesn't work that way. You know, iron sharpens iron, as they say. And I found it to be true in my life. And I think if you have a good coach and you have a good community and you have a good group of people around you, you're going to feel good about yourself. You're going to feel successful. You're going to feel supported. You're going to feel driven. And when the sun is shining and you got your favorite, workout clothes on and your favorite song comes on the radio and every green light is going when you're on your way to the gym, it's easy to train. But when real life happens and kicks you in the nuts and 14 things go wrong and you feel like a bag of shit, watching, listening to, and being surrounded by the right people makes all the difference in the world. That's the difference between those of us who make it and keep pushing through and those of us who quit and punt it. And we're really only as good as the team of people around us. And I have a poster here in the office, and it's a giant Babe Ruth poster. And the quote is, "The way a team plays as a whole determines its success. You may have the greatest bunch of individual stars in the world, but if they don't play together, the club won't be worth a dime." End quote. And that's Babe Ruth. And I think that's how I think about life. I wouldn't be this person if I didn't know all these people. I wouldn't be this person if I didn't meet the fitness people I meet. If there was no David Jack, there'd be no Jeremy Scott. If there's no BJ Gador, there'd be no Jeremy Scott. If I didn't, have the people I met on my journey, if I didn't know, the Daves and the Bens and the Hannahs and the Lexes and the Nickies, and if we didn't all communicate and talk and lift each other up and support each other, none of us would be here. And you guys are the same way. And my hope would be that you would find the same amazing people that I found in my life, because I wouldn't be here without them. Financially, same way. If I didn't meet a Brent, if I didn't meet a Mike D, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. It helps. So consuming the right people and being surrounded by those people and listening to them and sharing best practices is going to help you guys be so successful on your fitness journey. If it's listening to a dude like me, then let me be part of that circle with you. It's a game changer. And if you guys can do all those things, if you really can, and people who do those things, sweat every day, drink water, eat vegetables, do mobility, get good sleep, surround themselves with the right people. People who do those tend to see the following benefits. They have more energy. They gain more muscle. They become leaner. They're less bloated. They have better sleep. They're more mindful. They're filled with gratitude, and they have a better fucking life than people who don't do it. Because at the end of the day, you're always going to have problems. The world's always going to be full of shit. There's always going to be, political this, and there's going to be negative that, and the market will go up because of GameStop, and it'll go down because of GameStop. I don't want to get too detailed into that. There's always going to be things that go on that you can't control. And those problems are going to happen. People will get sick. People will die. Accidents will come. Shit will come your way. 2020 welcome. Even 2021, as it may be. But it's easier to do if you're healthy, if you're fit, and you're surrounded by the right people, and you're listening to and watching the right things that put you in a position to be happy and to be healthy and to have perspective in your life. And so no matter where you are on your fat loss journey, hopefully some of these things can help you. Some of these things you may have been doing. And the key, you guys, with all this is not just patience, which is a virtue for sure that very few people have in this day and age, which I think if you can be patient, man, you can be so successable at so many things, because you're not going to get discouraged if you don't get results in 2 seconds. And I am living proof of that, you guys. And my wife, I'm going to get Heather on the podcast tomorrow. I don't know if we'll talk about it then, but she can share some stories with you about, man, how I'll just sit and I'll wait for it, because sometimes that's the only option. When you're putting in the work, you're not going to see the fruits of the labor just yet, and that's okay. But even maybe above patience is the consistency. Anybody can do something for a little bit. Anybody can do something for 3 months. Anybody can do something for 6 years. But can you do it for a decade? Can you do it for 15 years? Can you show up day in and day out and eat the right foods? Get good sleep, take care of your body, and treat it the way it needs to be treated to get the results you want to get to, and that's the key. So no matter where you're at, don't get discouraged, be patient, and be consistent with what you're doing. Don't try to rush the process, just trust the process. And if you do that, you guys will be okay. And at the end of the day, what's your other option? Just quit? Because I promise you that doesn't work. Quitting does not work. Eating like shit does not work. Skipping workouts does not work. Not doing mobility, it doesn't work. You're not magically going to get fitter, stronger, faster, become more mobile. Your hair is not going to naturally get thicker and darker because Father Time is chasing all of us, and eventually he'll get us all. So as the days go on, after probably the age of about 22, you're going to get older, softer, wrinklier. Things are going to hurt, crack, and pop more, and it just gets harder unless you do the things to make it easier. And it might seem tough at first because it is, but there's great freedom in the consistency of routine. I know that sounds ass backwards, but it's not. There is a great freedom and a great power with the consistency of routine. So take that for it is, you guys. Hopefully you got something out of that. And if you got a friend who doesn't know where to start on the journey, I think this would be a nice little piece to hopefully help them kick off along the way. And again, a reminder to you guys, this podcast episode is brought to you by my homies over at JLab Pro. It's where I get my protein, my krill oil, the collagen we use, and their new fermented turmeric. The website is jeremyscottfitness.jlabpro.com. But you guys can always mention me. I can hook you up with a discount code on pretty much everything on the site always. And sometimes you get the really crazy ones. Like right now, the collagen complex is 40% off, which is insane. But that's how much we believe in it. And then again, obviously Athletic Greens, if you guys are on the fence, hit me up. We'll send you a travel pack right to your front door. And if you want to order it, you're literally going to get Athletic Greens plus 5 free travel packs plus a year's supply of vitamin D. And I've already rambled on like 100 times how important this shit is. And I still can't believe people aren't taking it. It really just pisses me off that the world isn't talking about vitamin D and zinc and C and quercetin and greens and just all these things that your body needs to help you be healthy with everything, especially with all the shit that's been on the last year. But I know I gotta relax. I gotta go work out. But thank you guys. I appreciate you. But if you want to hook up on any of those things, hit me up. I'm happy to share them with you. Again, if you're on the podcast app on iPhone, just go down, drop me a 5-star, leave a couple comments. I truly would appreciate it. And again, sharing the podcast obviously means the world to me. But again, if you're on YouTube, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you as well. And if you guys want to be in our newsletter, again, reminder, we send out at least 3 emails per week, every single week. So send us your email and I'll add you guys to that. But have an amazing rest of your weekend. Heather will come on tomorrow. Her and I will ramble on. She's actually, living the dream here. She's a snowboard up in northern Arizona with her friends, being all fancy while I grind away here. But hey, that's my life, and I'm happy to do it. So hopefully she's having fun, so I can give her some shit tomorrow. So appreciate you guys. Until next time, eat well, train hard, be nice to people, and please keep doing shit you love with people you enjoy because your life is too short not to. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.